To say you gotta know somebody, or know somebody to get somewhere these days. To say you know that's alright, yeah that's alright, cause you know that's alright with me. Yeah, you know that's alright, yeah that's alright, cause you know that's alright.
Question, now that you brought that up, my parents ended up dying as paupers because they were in nursing homes and they suck you dry and then you're on Medicaid, you know, and you got nothing. If you do this with a trust like that, can they get to your property that way?
You have to talk to an elder law attorney for that. We were actually working with a guy that was in our mastermind group that was an elder law attorney, and we were talking about ways that we structure deals so that it would maintain the asset in the estate, so that the kids would actually have something. And we have other deals where they're like, look, we'll sell the house to you on cheap terms because the nursing home's going to suck up all the money anyway, so they would convert the house into a note, and we make payments on the note. And now they say, well, you can assign those payments to us, but it's just monthly. It's not a big lump sum. So we're trying to work out ways to do that. I don't have any definitive answer for how you would avoid
Because they can go back like 3 years
Medicaid,
or something
Medicare.
before you go
Right.
in,
5 years.
or 5 years, you just made 5
The
years.
idea is, your house that you live in now, you can transfer it into a trust right now.
That's what I meant, that's what I was saying, if I do that now.
Downside to it is when you go for financing, a lot of the lenders say, this doesn't meet our happy medium. You have to be on the deed, you have to be on the,
Right.
So even if you're the trustee of that trust, it's better than you being on public records. And I'm on the deed, I'm the trustee, I'm on the deed as the trustee. You can be the trustee and the beneficiary in this type of trust. And the nice thing about that is, I have gotten financing in trust, but mostly it was lines of credit. I've never done like a 30-year institutional, because they want you to conform to their guidelines. And they're gonna say deed it out, and then deed it back in after you're done. That's somebody else had a question? We can shift gears here, because I think the trust might be, that's just something I would recommend you at least look into when you're buying property. But before you go file an LLC, first couple deals, do it in your name, that's fine. But I even say do it, do it as a trust as well. Everybody's situation's different.
Nick, do you have a question?
No, I know that the banks don't like the trust.
Yeah.
Once they see a trust, they back off.
Well, a lot of the stuff that we do, the banks don't like it, insurance agents don't like it, realtors don't like it, plenty of people don't like it. We spend an awful lot of time trying to explain to people this stuff. Like an insurance agent was going to give me a great price on a house. No, it's a subject to mortgage. We had a meeting with him, and then we came back 3 weeks later, and the main definitive thing that resulted from that meeting, he somehow missed it. Not me and Jeremy, he missed it. So I'm like, when you do, little known techniques that a lot of people haven't put the energy and effort into learning, you're going to end up explaining them to people an awful lot. It's just a part of it's the nature of the game.
Well, a lot of it is finding good vendors to deal with. And once you found a good vendor, sometimes you have to train them a little bit on what you're doing and show them what you're doing. And once you have a good one, it's always nice to have a couple. But once you have a good one, you stick with it. I've been with the same title company for probably 6 years now that I've used. Actually, the same guy. He switched, but I went with him because he knows what he's doing. He knows how to set it up. Ellis, yeah, he's the man.
And you don't have to explain things to them 15 times.
What company is it? You mind telling me?
Yeah, First Platinum Abstract is what I use in Bed Sale. Ellis Cook.
Oh,
First
okay.
Platinum Ellis is, he does, he did the title for the Piazza, the $81 million home deliveries project. He's done all of our blasting stuff. So he did a little deal for me for 10 grand like last year. But at the same time, I'll do 81 million and then go to the next closing for 10 grand. Because he goes, hey, it's $500 I didn't have yesterday. So, but he's a title attorney, knows his stuff. He's just a salesman now for the company. He's kind of semi-retired. But once you find a vendor that you work with, I probably fired 4 or 5 title companies before I found one that was willing to work with me and understand work. During the boom, I had a title company that just says, look, this is too. They basically said, look, we have to do all this extra stuff. This isn't conform to what we're typically used to doing. We have extra work to do. We're so busy right now, we'd rather not. Why don't you come back to us when things slow down? Right, right.
See
You
ya.
just fired yourself, that's right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, you have to, a lot of times it's not gonna conform to their ways, it takes a little bit of.
And this is first platinum abstract, you
That's why,
said?
no, they're great,
Yeah.
yeah, they're great.
Okay.
Yeah, you can tell them that I sent you, they'll charge you double.
If you buy a property in single name and later transfer it into a trust, is there an audit trail so that people can find out
Yeah.
that initially it was bought in your name individually?
Yeah, I recommend putting it right in.
Put it in the trust first.
But
and then-
that's all gonna be dependent on the financing. If you're using private financing, it's not an issue. If you're using institutions, it may be. TD Bank now has, my dad just did an online application with TD Banks now in Florida. TD Bank has a thing that says, is this an individual, joint, or trust? 3 options. I go, huh, that's interesting. So we put it through as the trust, and we're gonna, we'll see what happens. But that's like one of their 3 options: individual, joint, or trust. If the banks were smart, they would require things to be in trust, because trust, when you convert, it's kind of converting real estate into personal property. Because a trust, the real estate, the deed, it's the real estate. You have to foreclose on it. But if I was a bank, I would say, give me the beneficial interest in your trust as collateral for our loan.
You
And
have
then they can
something.
just go
So
and
then
file a
that's
UCC1
beneficial.
form, which is like repoing a car. So it's kind of like, we're gonna repo your trust, and now the trust owns the house anyway. So I mean, if I was a title company, that's how it started in Chicago. They required him to be in it, but the banks just don't understand that. So they understand MERS. Just Google MERS. There's a whole mortgage electronic registration system. It's a mortgage conspiracy going on right now. Justin.
I have a lien question that, I recently heard that PICO, you know how with your water and sewer bill, it's lienable. If you're a landlord and your tenants don't pay their water and sewer, I heard recently, and I don't have properties with PICO, I have PG&L, but I heard that PICO, if your tenant doesn't pay the electric bill, they can now attach it to the landlord. Any insight, is there merit to that?
Are you sure they weren't talking about PGW? Because I don't think PICO has that legal.
Apparently this just was
No.
code that they changed in January, so I figured some.
I imagine
code
PICO
No, I
has
don't
the
think
lobby to be able to do it, but they have to apply to be a municipal.
I mean,
provider.
that will definitely happen
It's not
with
profit.
PGW in Philadelphia. And the way you have property in Philly, the only way to get around that is you have to go to PGW's website and list your properties as what they call the landlord cooperation program. Okay, and then make sure you print it out real good, because they'll lose that information as well. And then what happens is you go to sell that building 8 years from now, and you find out that some guy didn't pay a $4,000 gas bill, never told you about it. PGW never even lifted a finger to notify you about it, but yet they want 100% of the money before you can and lien the property. And if you're in that landlord cooperation program, that is the only argument you have. As far as I know, PICO doesn't have that ability.
If that's the case, like if they did get it, all the more reason to use trust, because it would just lean against that one
Yeah.
property.
It would've
If you're
been
doing
all-
another deal, then it doesn't affect that, until you iron it out. But all the municipal liens, they have to have, there's the North Penn Water Authority tried doing that, and they said, well, I said, you don't, I'm on the Pennsylvania Utility Commission website, and you're not on here. So, so they ended up having to call the number, and they had some quasi, municipal status. So we ended up negotiating with them, but a lot of the companies think that they're lienable, and they depend on the title companies to be their bill collector for them. So they said, well, the properties, cause a lot of times I'll take stuff and I won't pay it at closing. I'll say, this thing here, we won't pay that. They're like, what do you mean? I said, well, just exclude it on the title policy. Worst case scenario, we'll pay it. Best case scenario, we'll go back to them and say, take a discount, beat them over the head a little bit. I'll do that all the time. I'll buy something, all willing to pay the full amount, but not have it closed. These people are like, oh, if they heard that there's a closing, they're expecting to get paid. No, we bought it with dirty title. And they're like, what? We bought it with dirty title. So, we had a guy that had a judgment for an eBay sale, forged baseball. And he heard that the house is selling. I go, no, it's still on there. You know, we own the house now, but we just left that on there. Cause we knew that we were gonna, it was worth it for us to pay it off, we just left it there, and then we can negotiate it later. I don't recommend everybody do that, but if you're getting financing, they're not gonna let you, you know? But anyway, with the liens, I mean, you just segregate the assets, and also it doesn't carry over. Worst case scenario, best case scenario, they don't have the right to do it, they're just bluffing.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything, does anybody else have a deal that they wanna talk about, or have a challenge in their business of like, you know, that they want maybe to do a little brainstorm over?
I just wanna make a quick comment when, Phil was talking about, you know, paying so much taxes on fix and flips. If you do them in your Roth, you pay nothing.
Right.
So there's the benefit of doing it in your Roth. And if you're 59 and a half and over, you could flip all day long and take that money right out, tax free. You pay no tax on the deal until it's a Roth.
You need to look into UBIT,
Yeah.
operating the Roth as a business.
Yeah, but
Unrelated business income tax.
But in the Roth, it shouldn't.
If you're
Right.
treating it like a business, you do a couple, you're fine, but I think if you
Yeah, oh, yeah,
if you
if you
get a
get-
model out of it,
if you
you're
get
like,
too
you're
carried
making a
away.
business. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like if you owned ATM machines and you Roth, you
Yeah.
own them, you know, and run it as a
But
business.
you do a couple
or you
years,
just lease them to a company and.
you're all right.
And you know what, it all depends on how you do business. I mean, I always do a couple of flips a year, but I keep it to a minimum. And I
Right.
own enough real estate that just the depreciation from my portfolio can pretty much write off any of the profits that come from it. So it all depends on the way you do it, whatever you're doing. I'm really a buy and hold guy, so, I mean, right, especially now, my brain is focused on acquiring as much real estate as I possibly can right now, and managing it and maintaining it for the years to come, because obviously we're in the gutter right now, and the deals that we're buying today,